Hey everybody, it's me, Zach, and welcome back to my channel. Hey everybody, hi, hello! How are you all doing going into the end of the year? The holiday season for some of you who celebrate. I know it's a very busy time for me, myself personally, as I'm getting ready to go travel to see some family, and I'm trying to get my life together, and things like that. But I wanted to do some follow-up on stuff going on with Quirky Love Rosie, also known as QLR, also known as Rosie Lynn Reed, because she's just doing a lot. She's doing a lot. She's posted a lot of updates since I posted my last video, which was really intended to be focused specifically on the bad behavior of this guy named Cam and the things that he has been doing to Rosie to make her really uncomfortable, feel really unsafe, and things like that. And I want to be clear that the coverage of Cam is to be in line with some of the other coverage I've done in recent history about people in this corner of the internet that don't know how to draw a line in terms of what's appropriate and what's inappropriate when it comes to covering people like Rosie, Amber Lynn Reed, or Chantal Marie. And I just want to be clear about that because when I've covered people like FFG or Rachel in recent history, I've been clear to say that that doesn't absolve like the people that they cover from their bad behavior. I think it just means that they're all bad people in this situation. They all made some poor choices in the ways that they've gone about making content on the internet. That goes for Rachel, that goes for FFG, that goes for Chantal, that goes for Amberlynn, that goes for Rosie, and that certainly goes for Cam. And I just want to be clear about that because I still have lots of issues with Rosie as a content creator and Rosie's behavior on the internet, Rosie's behavior and interactions with me on the internet. I'm just saying this now to be clear because I don't want her to forget that. I don't want her to forget that I have no intentions of like defending her. I mean, I'll defend her in cases like this where it makes sense. Like, Cam is a loser. Cam is a weirdo. Cam doesn't need to be doing this kind of stuff on the internet. Cam needs to log off and seek help. But that doesn't take away from the fact that Rosie has her own list of problems. And, you know, I think one thing to start with in terms of how you think about how Rosie wants the internet to respond to this, and rightfully so, Rosie wants people to believe her when it comes to what happened with the person she's accusing, right? Like, as she should, and as people should believe her. But it's not lost on me that just months ago, she was dating this Jeff guy, and people were sharing accusations about him assaulting somebody, and Rosie wrote them off.
I am just saying that all of this stuff happened a long time ago. I wasn't involved in it. This is private people's personal business. So someone wrote a false accusation against him that had never met him, whose daughter had never met him, because this man was married and was trying to like get with someone he was related to. And so this person went online and was spreading lies about multiple people, including people associated with that family member. So if you read the context and like some of the responses back in those messages, that accusation is completely unfounded. There's no legal anything. I encourage anyone with any proof there's actually someone who was harmed, any proof that anything occurred, any proof that they actually knew each other, to take that to the authorities and handle it through the authorities if a crime occurred. Because I'm very firm in the fact that nothing happened. And it was all fabricated. And this is all something that's being blown out of proportion by people that don't like me because they are desperate to create a Tommy 2.0 situation for Girl World.
And I think that really speaks to who Rosie is that she oftentimes will look at whatever is convenient for her, whatever makes the most sense to her. So it doesn't surprise me that despite talking about how victimized she's felt by me and how she's been going on for really honestly a couple years at this point about how awful I am and how terrible I am, but really amped it up in recent history because I chose to respond to some of that criticism she has. she's been going on and on and on and on and on about how Zach is just this awful content creator who characterizes her in a negative light, and how much harm I've done to her and how much stress and grief I've caused her. But now she's out here singing my praises because she's interpreting that video as me, I don't know, doing more than what I think she thinks it's doing. So we're gonna try to get caught up because she's been posting in a lot of different forums and avenues and things like that when it comes to talking about what's going on right now. As you know, she's demonetized on YouTube, so she's not making like videos and posting content there. She is monetized on Twitch, but has not been going live on there since all of this happened. She has a Patreon where she's seemingly still in communication with folks, and she's made a few different posts on her community tab and also some posts on her Instagram stories. And it's my goal to go over all of that and read it all with you and give my thoughts on what she has to say with you. And also to share a little bit of how she has opted to try to communicate with me once again. So please just try to be patient. This might be a long-winded video because there's a lot to cover. And because she's all over the place, it might be confusing. And so just bear with me. One post that I think a lot of people find really interesting considering the timing of all of this is a post that she made about her friend Rain, or her former friend Rain. You might remember that when Rosie initially reached out to me on Instagram, she tried to get me to react to her friend Rain's YouTube channel because they were trying to get out of doing sex work, and they thought if they started a YouTube channel where they cooked and stuff like that, that they could get out of doing feeder content on the internet. Rosie and Rain had a big falling out, and a lot of that falling out has to do with another party named Ivy Davenport. Ivy Davenport was the person who was responsible for writing and directing a Matilda adult content parody that starred Rosie eating chocolate cake. And Rosie has made accusations and allegations towards, I think, both Ivy and Rain in the past for grooming her into doing feeder content. I've also mentioned in the past that Ivy has reached out to me and wanted to discuss those things with me. I haven't really gone any further outside of, like, politely emailing her back to tell her I didn't really want to make that kind of content.
I do just want to know, I went back and looked at the communication between Ivy and I forgot her email also included some clips from previous Instagram stories that Rosie had done that she shared with me. It's famously where I got the one that was that was like, I'm gonna reverse my type 2 diabetes. So I have used some of those clips and stuff that she shared with me, but in terms of the topic regarding the Matilda video, I did specifically say that I wasn't interested in doing content about that, and that Rosie didn't seem to want to talk about it anymore either.
But the reason I think it's really interesting that Rosie has come out and made this post that I'm about to read is that in addition to Cam talking about the person who Rosie alleges assaulted her, Nikki T noted that the way that she found out who the person that assaulted Rosie was because Nikki was doing research about this particular content with Ivy and Rain. For the record, Nikki T did respond in a lot of comments on my video, but also on her own community tab post, and said, in Zach's video, a clip was shown where I said to Cam, I don't want you using my research in this way, or along those lines in the chat. I want to clarify I was researching about the chocolate cake incident, trying to figure out why it was removed. In this forum, they were speaking about what happened. I stumbled on her engaging in a back and forth with the alleged abuser. I did not seek that out intentionally, just FYI. So Rosie goes on to make this post 3 days ago on her community tab saying, hey friends, I have a statement I'd like to make that's not about the recent events in my live stream, but something from a couple years ago. Newer subscribers may not know any of what I am about to discuss, so if you are confused, I do apologize. But for the sake of growth, healing, and moving on, I think this is an important step. Last night, I reached out to and had a private FaceTime with Rain, also known as Planet with a Palette. In 2023, we had an explosive, dragged-out internet feud that got disgusting in every sense of the word. We spoke for hours. Last year, I received an email from Rain that I ignored. I was not ready to speak with them. Recent events had me reflecting on what happened between us and had me see that I am so exhausted by the animosity that hung between us privately and publicly. There was a simple solution, and the only roadblock to that solution was me, and that was to have a conversation. It was a very heartfelt, deep, and long conversation that went through multiple talking points we agreed were not healthy to bring public again. Even on the points that we have very different stances on how they happened, we were able to come to an understanding of the core pain points on both sides. Both sides were able to genuinely apologize for both of our actions that came from and caused immense pain and strife. We hope that with this public statement, our followers can know we have no bad blood. We do not want ill for each other. We both just want to be happy, create content on our platforms, and while we may never be friends, we can be at peace. Thank you for your time and consideration. I ask that no one harass Rain on my behalf, that we both let bygones be bygones. I ask that if you go to their content, you either leave support or say nothing. We have ended the animosity and made amends. We reached our common goal, which was peace. And then there's a photo of Rain and Rosie together. Rain also made a comment on their platform, but because that's not like the overall like messaging and goal of this video, I'll let you just go seek out their response on your own terms. But they essentially agreed that they have come to peace with Rosie as well. And since I read Nikki T's comment from her community tab post, I also remembered that Rosie actually commented on my video as well. So you're getting real stream of consciousness here as I'm making this video. So I'm gonna read what Rosie posted on my video, the comment that she left. She said, "Zachary, thank you for this video. To address the end, I want to state two things. One, I acknowledge you edited for brevity, but that last part where I talked about the silence, I stated that I edited it into my statement an hour before I went live. It was impulsive. The rest of my statement I ran by a close friend. I had only slept 1 hour, and I just wanted to provide that context to say that in my extremely triggered state, I feel like I made a couple of mistakes in how I handled it. I tried my best to handle the situation in the best way I knew how. It isn't content, but Cam had already made it as such by threatening that to be content. I tagged Girl World simply because I wanted my response to be seen. I see how it can come across as mixed messages. I wish I had stuck with the original statement. I also wish I had gauged with other people regarding the response in Girl World instead of just running with my limited understanding of what was happening, as frankly, I do have a lot of people blocked. I didn't want what happened to me to be the content. I wanted the players involved to be called out. But ultimately, you handled this with the sensitivity and honesty it deserved. Thank you, Zach. I hope you can hold a little grace for me being contradictory, because ultimately, I was traumatized to hell and back by this and sleep deprived. If that comes off as an excuse, I'm sorry. I simply wanted to explain. I will say that Rosie wasn't the only person to say this as well, but I do understand what she means now. Like, I do understand that she just wanted people to call out Cam's bad behavior. So to that extent, I get what she was saying. I also still think, like, for all intents and purposes, Rosie needs to stop reading stuff about Girl World. Rosie probably needs to stay away from Girl World content. I don't think it was probably helpful for Rosie to be scanning through what was going on in the Girl World community to see if people were talking about this situation, because like she has pointed out in this comment, she's clearly very triggered by what Cam did, and I'm guessing it's probably not helping to be wrapped up in all of this. And that's just like me trying to be helpful and honest about it. But I do understand better where she's coming from in that regard. So anyways, back to posts she made on her community tab on her YouTube channel. A day ago or so, she posted, "I'm on a break from content creation for an undetermined amount of time. It will make sense when I come back as to why. I've been keeping my Patreon members and the group chat up to date, but other than that, I've made some posts and comments here and there, but I need to step away from creating content for a bit. I hope I'm back sooner rather than later. To everyone who expressed kindness, support, understanding, and more, I thank you more than you know. If you're confused at all about the situation, I recommend looking up and watching Zachary Michael's latest video titled The Weirdo That Won't Leave Rosie Alone. Obviously, I don't agree with how he characterizes me, but this topic in the video is far bigger and more important than the animosity felt from prior experiences with each other. I've already thanked him in my comment I left, but at this time I'm needing to handle myself and some things going on in my life. This whole thing sucks. I can't wait to be able to move on for good. And my sincere apologies. I kind of forgot how verbose Rosie is when she's talking in text. I'm also kind of worried that I might have been out of focus for this whole video because I just looked in the viewfinder and it looked a little blurry to me. So I'm really struggling today. My apologies. So again, I am fascinated that she's sitting here saying that, like, she doesn't agree with how I've characterized her, but all of these things, like, now she's okay with my stance on stuff, which I do guess to some extent is maybe fair, but it's really frustrating to me because a lot of the stuff I've had to say in videos, I think especially from the beginning, has been really fair and has been backed by receipts, and she's claimed that she's refused to watch those videos. But now that I'm like making a video that's seemingly in support of her, she's happy to come and get help from me and my talking points. It would be lovely to see her maybe now consider that, like, I'm not talking from a completely insane point of view, and that maybe she should walk back some of the stuff that she's chosen to say about me in the past. I don't have a lot of sympathy or empathy towards her as a person because she said a lot of, like, really nasty, untrue things about me. She has perpetuated lies about me not taking care of Poe, and she's participated in forums on the internet where people were discussing things about my ex, who, quite frankly, doesn't want to be on the internet like that. And also potentially diving into people that, like, my ex might be dating, who certainly never asked to be a part of this part of the internet. So I don't need Rosie's praise. I know what I had to say in my video about Cam was valid. I didn't do this for Rosie's praise. It has very little to do with her. And I just want to keep reiterating that because it's really just me and my frustrations about how people in this corner of the internet don't know how to fucking act. And then about an hour ago, from me filming this, she posted another community tab post. And mind you, again, there's other things in other parts of the internet that she's been posting. So I'm literally just covering the community tab posts. And some of the other things that I'm going to talk about have already happened. Okay, but this is an hour ago, and she said, "Hi friends, I have some updates. I'm taking an extended break from all live content. To be blunt, I need some serious boundaries right now in regard to the content I make online. Fucking men. I will be making multiple updates, statements, sharing reflections, and more when it comes to when I go live next. This is likely not to happen until 2026. In the meantime, I currently have a Patreon exclusive grocery haul that just went live. Oh my God. I can't believe I gotta go over and sign up for that Patreon so I can watch our grocery haul. Oh God, Jesus. Anyways, make sure to sub to my Patreon for pre-recorded content and to access the most up-to-date Quirky Love Rosie updates for content and such in our Patreon group chat. All pre-recorded content is going to be more in regards to cooking, possibly makeup, art topics. I promised a crystals video. Why? Who knows? Maybe experimenting with new formats. It's really going to depend on a lot of factors, including my current health issues from the fault of my own PTSD. I'm juggling a lot behind the scenes. I will be making a Christmas cooking vlog. This will go live on the Patreon, then 24 hours later, be available on YouTube for everyone to see. I will be making pre-recorded content for Patreon. I may let a couple come on YouTube in a similar fashion. I will have so much to share about my life when I'm fully back. Twitch will be on temporary pause until I'm streaming again. We might play with pre-recorded Twitch videos. Not sure how that works. I don't think that's a thing, but anyways, regardless. This will all make sense in due time. I need harder boundaries with the internet for the time being. I have healing to do, and she included this lovely selfie. So like I said, that's everything that's happened on YouTube with Rosie. Now, I do want to talk a little bit about what she's been up to in her Patreon. Specifically, I just have one post that I think at this point has been shared in multiple different places on the internet. I first saw it in a Charlie Gold live stream, but I'm sure it's been posted elsewhere. And she's been communicating in that Patreon that she's taking a break from making some content, which I do agree is interesting because, you know, it was just a moment ago that she was stressed the fuck out saying like she didn't know what she was going to do, what her family was going to do without her YouTube income. So I get the point of taking a break from the internet. Like, I've taken a break from the internet. I think it can be healthy. I also do understand why people who have been trying to support her, because she's been going on and on and on about, you know, like not being able to afford to like continue on and do stuff without her YouTube income. I could understand why those people who, you know, went out of their way to support her because of that might be a little frustrated. So she made a comment, a post, I don't know how this Patreon feature works, but she made a post sharing a screenshot of someone saying to her that no one is paying for her breaks because she's talking about being on break until further notice, and this person is presumably paying at least $5 a month to be a part of this Patreon group. And her response to this person saying this is, "My break is intended to an undetermined amount of time at the moment until I have more information. There is a very serious reason for this I am unable to discuss until I come back online. If you feel similarly to this person, I understand if you need to leave my Patreon. The content will be made up for, but if you can't have compassion or understanding due to the circumstances that have caused this break and feel the need to speak to me in this manner, frankly, I'd prefer if you left. This user is going to be banned from my Patreon for that reason. I'm not forcing anyone to spend $5 to be here. I hope if you are here, you believe me enough to know I will make up for the content when I can." So I think some of this is interesting. Like, certainly Rosie's allowed to take breaks, and I think she certainly could be like, hey, I totally understand if you don't want to spend $5 a month on me while I'm on this break. I think that's totally a reasonable thing for her to say. The rest of it feels a little out of pocket, and it's probably clear why she has now made this post today on her YouTube channel about needing to set up some boundaries, because I feel like that's a really irrational way to respond to somebody who's simply like, hey, I didn't sign up to do this to like not get any content from you. Like, it kind of, I mean, that's like such a basic statement. They could have gone on to say like, this feels like a grift. It feels like a little bit of a bait and switch that just a week or two ago you're talking about how badly you need money, and now like we're not even going to get the content that you promised us. Like, I think there's all kinds of things that could be said, and it does seem like she is going to still try to provide some kind of content for the people on Patreon. But sitting here being like, I'm going to block you, I don't need your $5, when just like, again, a couple weeks ago she was distraught about how she was going to make ends meet. It does seem a little rash on her end. And I think one thing that she and Chantal don't realize about other platforms is that like banning people who are paying to be there isn't going to help you. You know, like it really, you're not going to get that money back, you know, like you need to be fostering the relationships you have with the people who are willing to spend that money on you, because you're not going to get the AdSense. You know, when you look at Twitch and Patreon, those are both platforms where it's heavily required for people to want to choose to invest in you in order for you to make money on those platforms. And I can maybe speak to more about Twitch and stuff like that in a different video at some other point, because trust, I have seen that Chantal is just blocking people who subscribe to her, which then doesn't allow them to participate in chat or even see the chat. So like, why would they want to watch her? And on Twitch, you make next to nothing on like ads, even though she's running a shit ton of ads. You make very little in comparison to what you make from ads on YouTube. So very foolish behavior from these girlies that are like sitting out here saying like, I absolutely need this money. I don't know what I'm going to do without it, but I digress. Maybe not the full point of today's video, but is crazy from Rosie and her Patreon doing all of that business. Now, she's also posted some Instagram stories bringing attention to my video about Cam, so I'll share those.
I've definitely talked my shit about, like, Zachary Michael, but before I even come back, I want to state, like, his most recent video I really think everyone should watch. I never thought I'd say those words again, but Zachary Michael made a video that I think very eloquently and very clearly showcased the situation that was trauma-informed and victim-minded. And as much as I have my problems with Zach and they have their problems with me, I respect the hell out of what they've done to make that video, and I thank him for that. And I already did in a comment, and this doesn't really change my opinions, and I know it won't change his about me, but if you are confused about any of this, I will link his video at the end of these Instagram stories so you can go watch and get an understanding of what the fuck happened to me this week. People, it's just not fucking okay. And for people whose literal job is to call me out, to stick up for what's right, I will forever be grateful for that, regardless of what happens. I know Zach is blocked on my Instagram, so I don't know if someone will forward these stories to him or not. But I have no intention of, like, watching his future content. I have not engaged with his content since I said, like, you know, I cut that was, God, what's it, months and months. I have not watched a single thing. And basically, I think since he, like, started covering me, like, really covering me, I don't agree with, obviously, how he characterizes me, but I can't express, and I will tell more detail in the future, just how much his video has helped me. And I know that it wasn't necessarily for me, but more for the topic at large. And like I said, like, I know moving forward, this doesn't change how he's going to discuss my content in the future and all of that. I don't expect that. I'm not insane. But I would be an ass and a hypocrite to not acknowledge how impactful his video was. So this is going to be the last slide. I'm going to link it here. I highly recommend watching it because there's a lot to be said there. And there's a couple small notes he said about me in the beginning that I obviously don't agree with, but everything else needed to be said. And
then maybe what you're most interested about is finding out that Sunday morning I woke up, I pulled up my phone to see what time it was, saw that I had a notification from Quirky Love Rosie, who's unblocked me on Instagram to really just show that she is Amberlynn Reed Jr. Like, very much an Amberlynn Reed move to unblock me because she wants to get something out of me and from me. I just want to be clear, I haven't responded to Rosie. In fact, I'm really considering just giving her a block back, but for the purposes of right now and, like, taking some time to really consider what I wanted to do with this information, I haven't opted to respond at all, and I also haven't opted to, like, block her back or anything. I really wanted to take some time to sit with this and see how I felt about it. I've talked to a few people in my life about their thoughts about how to respond to it, and she's really not going to get a response, at least via DM, from me, because I don't think you get to go on the internet and say a bunch of shit that's not factual about me and spend times in forums trying to talk shit about me and then ask me for help and ask me to do something for you after you do all of that stuff. Like, I think that that's really shitty. And Rosie, being a longtime fan of me, should know or not be surprised by what I'm about to do. But just in full transparency, I'm gonna let you all know what she said to me, because I'm not playing this game with these girls who want to try to have conversations with me in private and then expect me not to say anything about it. And she, above everybody else, she should, one, know that that's how I've responded to Amber Lynn in recent years, but she should also know that because I totally put all the things she ever DM'd me on blast in a video, and she claims she hasn't watched it, so maybe that's why she's acting brand new. But I'm here to tell you, I'm not going to sit here and play this game with you, Rosie. So on Sunday at 1:30 a.m. in the morning my time, so at 2:30 a.m. for her, she messaged me and said, "I swore to myself I would never contact you again, but I found myself in a position where I have to help me protect myself and stand up for myself. Is there any way I can get access to the recording of Cam's live stream? I have no other leads or way I can think of. I will not be making content again until I've addressed this legally. I don't know if you can email me the file or possibly transfer it in some way. If I had literally any other way of getting it besides DMing you, I promise I'd do it. I've been digging around and asking around and I can't find it. I'm sorry to bother you." If Rosie wants to pursue legal action with Cam, I think that's her prerogative. And if they, for some reason, need the full recording of what happened in that live stream, then they could, like, I don't know what the legal process is, subpoena it from me or whatever they might need to do in that situation. But Rosie, I will not be talking to you directly. And I just want to make that very clear. There's too much bullshit. There's too much bullshit that you've had to say about me on the internet that you've taken no accountability for. And you sitting over here wanting me to help you out now, after all of that, is crazy. Is crazy to me. No, you can use the clips that are in my video if you want to, and otherwise, like, you can take whatever legal action you need. Talk to your lawyer, talk to the courts. They can access it through me that way. Like, if it will help your case, I'll gladly hand it over to a lawyer. I'll gladly handle it that way. But I'm not doing this Instagram DM bullshit with you. It's just not happening. You really tried it. You really fucking tried it. And I'm just, like, not doing it, Rosie. I'm really not. I'm really, really not. I care too much about the ways that you have tried to hurt me on the internet, and I don't want to stand in the way of you getting justice with Cam or whatever that might look like, but you can do it through legal avenues, and I will gladly cooperate with a lawyer or any kind of legal representation you have or any kind of court order or things like that. But what I won't be doing is talking to you directly. Okay? All right, is that understood? Are we clear? Okay, great. Thank you. The audacity Rosie has to come on Al Gore's internet and do what she does is crazy to me. From begging people for money just weeks ago to sitting here telling people she's not making any more content, to banning people who are paying her, to sitting here and asking me to help her. I want to go back to the post she made where she said that she doesn't agree with how I characterize her. Rosie, I don't characterize you any way that you don't demonstrate for yourself here on the internet every single day. I've continuously provided receipts of the ways that you have talked about me, the ways that you have sent crazy messages to me in my DMs over time. There's no characterizing happening here. I'm not making up who Rosie Lynn Reed is. I'm showing people who you are. You do this on the internet yourself. You're showing yourself on the internet in this way. So that's all I got to say about this, but I did want to cover this before I left to go visit family and stuff for the holidays, because Rosie really got me fucked up. Rosie's really got me fucked up. Anyways, that's all I have time for today. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did and you're brand new, consider subscribing down below. Hit the bell button so you get a notification anytime I post new content or go live here on YouTube. Make sure to leave me a comment, hit like, click share, and follow me on all my social media. I hope you'll have a wonderful holiday and a happy new year, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!